Luka Doncic is widely recognized as one of the best players in the NBA. This comes as no surprise, considering Luka's exceptional talent has been witnessed since his teenage years. Remarkably, he displayed his prowess on the court against professionals when he was just 17. Today, Luka has taken his game to a level reached by very few players in basketball history. He stands not only as one of the best players currently, but also among the all-time greats. If you hold a different opinion, perhaps the perspectives of basketball legends will change your mind. Let's explore what some NBA greats have to say about Luka. Gilbert Arenas was a prolific scorer during the 2000s. Despite Arenas' remarkable talent, his career was tragically shortened by injuries and the infamous gun scandal. Nevertheless, Arenas remains engaged with the basketball world, frequently appearing on podcasts to share his insights about the game. He holds a high regard for Luka Doncic, admiring how Luka has mastered the basketball fundamentals. This mastery has enabled Luka to outmaneuver larger and more athletic opponents in the NBA, leaving an impression on Arenas and many others.
The reason fundamentals are necessary, it's like being in traffic with Lamborghini or Prius. Yeah, you can beat the Prius in a straight up race, but through traffic, the Prius has an advantage. So what ends up happening is Luka has the advantage over anyone who's guarding him because these guys are too athletic for this part of the game. So these basic moves that get you to think I'm gonna go that way, to come back this way, you overplaying it, pump fake, you're jumping, foul. Next time, pump fake, you stop, okay. Like, you know, so he plays the puppet master game with you. And that's what fundamentals are important, especially at a younger age.
All basketball greats share a common trait. They make the game appear effortless, and Luka Doncic is no exception. The Slovenian sensation navigates the game at his own pace, effortlessly finding his spot on the court. He remains composed even when facing varied defensive strategies. However, veteran NBA players, particularly former defensive stars like Tony Allen and Bruce Bowen, have publicly shared their tactics for guarding Luka. Ron Artest, now known as Meta Sandiford Artest, a former Defensive Player of the Year, also weighed in. Having defended some of the greatest scorers of the 2000s like Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady, and Paul Pierce, Artest understands what it takes to guard the best. He emphasized the importance of testing Luka's endurance, pointing it as a primary focus if tasked with guarding the young star. For the first 3 quarters, it would be really hard for you to get a jumper, unless you're coming off a screen. That was just my thought process guarding guys. You're going to have to drive, and I don't mind a guy getting 15 or 20 in the first quarter. If you're getting that against me in the first quarter, you're probably done. However, at the end of the day, even Artest is aware that Luka is built differently and would be a hell of a matchup, even for him. Jason Kidd, once a standout point guard for the Dallas Mavericks and a vital player during their 2011 championship run, has transitioned into the role of head coach for the team. With his extensive experience in a Mavericks uniform, Kidd understands what it takes to excel in that franchise. As a former All-NBA point guard, he recognizes the qualities necessary to thrive in that position. Kidd firmly believes that Luka possesses those qualities and more. In fact, Kidd has stated that he believes Luka is already surpassing the greatness of Dirk Nowitzki, widely regarded as the greatest player in Mavericks history.
I've said this before, and I'll say it, for as long as I'm here. You can't take this young man for granted. He's better than Dirk. He's in the atmosphere of MJ, the best to ever do it, LeBron, Kobe. And so just to appreciate what this young man's doing at the age of 24 is something that Dallas has never seen.
Chauncey Billups, another great point guard turned head coach, possesses a brilliant basketball intellect. Unlike Kidd, Billups hasn't had the opportunity to coach Luka firsthand, but has faced him as an opponent. In a matchup between Billups' Trailblazers and Luka's Mavericks, Luka delivered a great performance, recording a triple-double with 42 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists, leading his team to victory. Reflecting on the game, Billups acknowledged the significant challenge Luka was for his squad that night. He highlighted Luka's exceptional one-on-one skills, noting how he made the Blazers' defense appear ineffective and exposed their vulnerabilities.
It's a matter of playing against Luka. He makes every single team in the league look like that. It just is what it is. This guy is so big, you double him, he sees over top of you, his passes are on time, on target most of the time. It's just, some players are just that good, or they can do that. So for us, we knew that we were going to have to make multiple efforts on most possessions in this game. And for the most part, we did that, had a couple breakdowns, in the last few minutes of it. that cost us.
When asked who Luka reminded him of, Chauncey kept it simple.
Luka. I don't know. I don't think we've seen a guy like him. So he's one of one.
During Steve Nash's tenure as coach for the Brooklyn Nets, he encountered difficulties making strategies to contain Luka Doncic. This challenge reached its peak in March 2022 when Luka exploded for 49 points against the Nets. With just 22 seconds remaining, Luka drained a crucial go-ahead shot. Kevin Durant then tied the game with 8 seconds left, setting the stage for a decisive possession. Knowing the Mavericks would rely on Luka, the Nets attempted to stop him at every turn. Despite their efforts, they left Spencer Dinwiddie open for a three-point attempt. Luka, demonstrating his exceptional court vision, found Dinwiddie over the double team, sealing the victory for the Mavericks. Reflecting on the game, Steve Nash highlighted the attributes that he believes distinguish Luka from his peers.
I just think his feel for the game, coupled with his size. He's able to use his size to get free and that feel for how to get people off balance and how to spray the ball or how to score.
Gary Payton, a great point guard known for tough defense and talking on the court, thinks highly of Luka Doncic. He was tough to play against, making opponents play worse with his talk and defense. He didn't often give credit to opponents, but lately, he started recognizing the new stars in the NBA. When asked about rookie Luka Doncic, Payton said Luka is really talented and that the Mavericks should focus on building their team around him.
Luka's a great talent, a real great talent. He showed it. Coming over here, winning Rookie of the Year and scoring as easy as he did, that's for being over and overseas a lot and being focused like that a lot and know how to score. They're building. It is what it is. They're building. And once you build and put the right pieces together and keep them together for a little bit, they'll be fine. I think Mark is doing a good job of doing what he has to do to keep them together. They got a great coach, and they just got to keep working.
Luka Doncic made sure to have a statement game in his first ever playoff appearance in 2020. In Game 1 of the Western Conference quarterfinals series against the Clippers, Luka dropped 42 points. This was even more impressive when you consider the fact that Luka was only 21 years old at the time. After the game, Richard Jefferson and Scottie Pippen discussed this performance on ESPN. And although RJ pointed out how high of standards are put on Luka, at such an early age, Scottie kept his focus on the 11 turnovers Luka had that night, which in his opinion, let the win slip away from the Mavs.
I know exactly where he's coming from. Being a player that has played at that level, had to be a leader for your team. When you have a game when you have high turnovers, those are your worst games. Those are games that you can criticize yourself. Those are games that your teammates are going to criticize you. But not only the coaching staff are going to criticize you, but beyond that first half, you take away those first 7 turnovers, he had an outstanding game. His leadership, his floor ability to see the floor, to make the right plays. I mean, he was outstanding. His offense was very dominant down in the stretch of the game when Porzingis went out, but I can understand that he is a little bit humiliated because of the turnovers, and he realized, like everyone else in Texas, that they let a game get away.
At the end of the day, although Scottie thought that Luka had a bad game because of the turnovers, he was still aware that Luka was, and still is, an amazing talent, and he made sure to point that out as well. Even though they only faced off twice, Wade quickly recognized Luka Doncic's skills. When asked about the young player, Wade expressed his admiration, saying he's a big fan of Luka.
Hell of a player, hell of a young player, but he just it seemed like he's been here before already. He's just very seasoned. I think Dallas Mavericks fans, and NBA sports fans around the world should be excited about what he can do for the next 20 years in this game. So as a fan of the game, I love watching him play. He does things on the court that you just, it wows you. So it's great. You guys got a good one. Keep him. I'm sure Mark Cuban will.
Shaquille O'Neal has changed his mind about Luka quite a bit in the past, but lately he's been a big fan of the Mavericks superstar. On Inside the NBA, Shaq talked about how great Luka is, especially at creating opportunities for his team. He looked closely at how Luka played against the Lakers and ended by saying how impressed he was with Luka's skills.
This kid has to do everything for his team to be successful. Right here, with the guys, he can't pass it, but he just said, I'm going to score. And great player, MVP candidate, but it's a lot of pressure on him. Because if he don't play well, if he don't do that, Mavericks go nowhere.
As much as you would listen and watch Michael Jordan during his playing days, you would think he would remain in the public eye for years to come. That does not seem to be the case whatsoever, as MJ has been rarely seen around the game of basketball nowadays, let alone talk about it. However, Actions speak louder than words, and MJ's respect for Luka was put on display during the 2022 All-Star Game, when Michael went out of his way to go and greet Luka. As you can see in this short clip, he doesn't have this type of love for everybody, as Karl Anthony Towns did not get anywhere near the same treatment from Michael that Luka did. Greatness recognizes greatness, and this is no exception, as even before this moment happened, Mike had a really high opinion about Luka, as when Doncic signed his deal with the Jordan brand, Bleacher Report published an MJ quote where Jordan had said that Luka was the future of the league. Luka is a phenomenal player, and at such a young age, he's demonstrating skills that take many guys years to develop. It will be incredible to watch him continue to advance in the NBA. Luka Doncic seems to be setting NBA records almost every other night these days, but there's one record he'll probably never touch: Rasheed Wallace's 2001 record for the most technical fouls in a regular season, with 40. Even though it's unlikely Luka will break that record, he's been racking up technical fouls quite consistently. Wallace, who holds the record, had some advice for Luka. He pointed out that Luka is much more valuable to the Mavericks when he's playing on the court, rather than sitting out due to fouls.
Just got to keep playing. I did receive a lot of texts and stuff. A lot of mine were during the regular season, but once playoff time came, then I knew what was at stake there. So I knew, like, okay, I got to shut my mouth. I got to just go ahead and bite the bullet. And if the referee, they want to, be sarcastic or cuss me out, I got to let them, because I know if I said anything, then they would give me a tech. And now I'm gone for 2 games. We're in the playoffs, and that could change the whole thing. So Luka, just keep playing. You busting their ass. You killing them already, dog. So just keep playing, doing what you're doing. You ain't even got to say nothing to the Ryan. You getting buckets. Y'all winning. Hey, go ahead. You doing your thing, bro.
Contrary to the Jason Kidd comments on Luka being greater than Dirk and in the same category as the greats like Kobe, LeBron, and MJ, ex-NBA guard and 3-time Sixth Man of the Year, Jamal Crawford thinks that while Luka is definitely on a path to greatness, it is unfair to compare him to such big names in the game of basketball, at least not yet.
People don't give Dirk enough credit for the championship he got. If he went through all the best players, Jason Terry was the second best player who came off the bench. And Dirk just took control of the whole thing, the whole situation. But didn't cry, didn't complain, won a championship in one of the hardest eras. And so Luka's on his way to being one of the greats. But right now, today, we can't say something. And I gotta say something else. I'm kind of tired of people throwing away on Michael Jordan's name. Like, what are we doing? We talking about Michael Jordan? Like, he's the best ever. Too good to be compared to.
Similar to Wade, Vince Carter didn't need much time to recognize how good Luka Doncic is. The two faced each other only 2 times, winning 1 game apiece. However, in those 2 games, Luka earned Carter's respect, hence why Vince still talks highly of him today as an NBA analyst.
So he's been smooth sailing, though. We watched him as soon as he got into the league, and you're like, wow, this is not your everyday rookie. He's playing at a different level and a different pace, which was his pace. And then he moves into his second year. You can tell he's gotten better, and he's gotten better in his third year. MVP, in the beginning, because we were watching him in the bubble, and he was outstanding. And he's been outstanding up and down all year. But I tell you what, he's still playing at a great level. Maybe not MVP level, but he's as advertised, for sure.
It seems that appreciation for Luka Doncic runs in the family, as Vince Carter's cousin, Tracy McGrady, also has a lot of love for Luka's game. Tracy was asked, which young player does he look at in the NBA and say that he is the future of the NBA? And without a second of thinking, he said Luka.
Luka is pretty damn good. I love watching Luka because Luka is not the fastest. He's not the quickest. Can't jump over a dollar. But skill-wise, his skill level is off the charts. He knows how to control the pace of a game. He knows how to create space and get his shot off on anybody, whether it's somebody that's bigger, stronger, quicker than him. He just knows how to play the game and control the pace.
It must be a really cool feeling to become your favorite player's favorite player. Well, not everybody knows about it, but Luka certainly does. Growing up, Luka was a huge fan of LeBron James. Fast forward 2 decades later, and today LeBron James is a huge fan of Luka Doncic, and you may ask why.
Because I love everything about his game, love everything about him. The way he plays the game reminds me of the way I play the game. Just triple threats, we rebound, we pass, which is the #1 thing on our mind, trying to keep our teammates engaged and keep our teammates feeling good out on the floor, keeping our teammates in rhythm. And we'll put 40 on you too if you disrespect us.
The strong Balkan connection between Luka and Nikola has made the two become best friends. always joking around one another off the court, but competing hard when it is game time, their relationship is something to behold. Two extremely passionate basketball players who have a totally different way of showcasing their love for the game, Nikola and Luka, are going to be the faces of the league for years to follow. After a Denver Nuggets win over Luka's Mavericks, the Joker was asked about what he enjoys most about Luka's game, to which Nikola replied,
"When we beat him and I can make fun of him."
He followed it up with a bit more serious comment.
I mean, he's my good friend, and it's always nice to play against him.
That's probably the most you are going to get out of the Joker, as he probably dislikes being around the media even more than he enjoys playing basketball. As anticipated, Luka Doncic has earned approval from nearly every former NBA player you can imagine. It's not just his exceptional skill level that impresses, but also his old-school competitive spirit that resonates with veteran players. As time progresses, we can expect to see much more from Luka Doncic, along with continued praise. Here's wishing Luka all the best for his future years in the NBA, and hopefully, we'll have the privilege of witnessing his greatness for many seasons to come.